Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach. As always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
Hello.
We're back. It's been a while, admittedly.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, sometimes, we're busy guys. We're out there with our fingers on the pulse of the nerd world, and you know, sometimes a month goes by, but we always come back. We're kind of like gonorrhea, It's just
Maybe gone for a while, but there's a
whoa.
flare up.
But every once in a while, we rear our ugly heads again. Uh, so thanks guys for listening. If there's anyone still sticking around listening to us at this point, we appreciate you. Um, and we hope to bring you some nerdy fun times tonight. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, or whatever it's called, something like that, right?
Was it I
Yeah,
got it.
I think I got it right.
Furiosa Mad
Furious.
Max Saga. Yes, sir.
Yeah, nailed it. By George Miller, director of such cult classics as Babe, Pig in a Big City, Happy Feet, and of course all the Mad Max movies. But before we do that, it's been a long time, Christian. I feel like we need to do some nerdy confessions where we confess the things that make us nerds. Why don't you start us off?
So my nerdy confession is me and the missus have started getting big into escape room games.
Well, that comment could have gone very different ways. I don't know if that's a nerdy confession or just something you should tell your priest.
So not the actual escape rooms where you go to a place. Although Cody had mentioned a while ago a cool one that I was going to talk to him about later because we do want to hit it up. But there's actually some in-home escape room games. So
Okay.
it's Exit the Game by Famous and Cosmos. I'm probably saying that wrong because it's some kind of German company.
Famous
Uh,
and Cosmos.
so there's levels 1 through 5, and they're cool for what it is. You get to play from home. It's mostly a card game with some maps, and you have to figure out puzzles. So the plus side, but also kind of the downside is the plus side is that there's a lot of things you cut up and you have to figure out and rip. But it's a one-time use game. So
Oh, gotcha.
you play it once because you're meant to cut up things, you're meant to fold things, and
Yeah.
destroy stuff.
I
So
think they call those like legacy games or something like that.
yeah,
'Cause there's like a version of famous ones are like Gloomhaven. I think Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. They're only meant to be played one time.
yeah, but
And
Gloomhaven's like $300 or something, right?
yeah, something
Fuck.
like that. Well, it's probably cheaper now. It's been out long enough, but it's a huge box of stuff. And um the idea of Gloomhaven, for those of you who don't know or haven't heard of it, is it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons for a group of friends who A, don't want to learn a whole rule set of Dungeons and Dragons, and B, who don't have someone who's a DM. So the game itself kind of is set to like automatically shepherd you through the game. And part of that is that you'll draw out envelopes and stuff, open them up, and or tear open things, and put stickers on maps and stuff like that. So by the time you're done, you've had a long experience of a gameplay, but the game itself is essentially over. Though I think there are companies that will sell like new bits and pieces or something so you can like reset it essentially. So, but yeah.
Nice little third market for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would think imagine whoever published Gloomhaven, maybe they have some version where you can like reset it, buy a new map or whatever it is.
So what's also cool about these is you download an app and it plays atmospheric music, and it does a pretty
Mhm.
good of timing it as like it should take you an X amount of time to get to this new area, and the music will kind of change to what you're at. So it does add some cool little atmosphere to it. The only other downside to it is that Sometimes there's some things that just don't translate too well because it's going from German to English. So like we're trying to figure out this riddle, and it's like, dude, what are they talking about? Like what,
Why do I have to find the Jewish people?
yeah, like
It was just it.
questions like what race is the best, and it's like, oh,
Yeah. I don't know. I
it's the
keep getting the
400
wrong
yard dash, Cody.
answers.
All right, that's the answer. It's the 400 yard dash. That's the best race. Well, yeah, no, it's just certain things just don't translate too well. And like it'll give you like little hint cards, like if you get stuck, you get two
Sure.
hints and then the solution. And there was just one where it's like, oh, you add these things. Like, dude, there's no way, there's no hint here that gave it. Like, this is such bullshit. And we both don't like taking hints. Like we like, no, we'll fucking figure this shit out, like on our
Yeah.
own. But then once you spend like 30 minutes on something, you're like, all right, fuck it. Like, let's
Yeah.
take a look. But it's dope. You guys should check it out. If you guys like escape room games and you can't make it out to a place, it's a cool little.
Or you hate people.
Or you hate people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean they range from $15 to $30 depending on the level. So
Oh, so it has like different like modules or whatever.
yeah, I'm actually like we have a Lord of the Rings one which I really want to play, but at the same time it's a one-time
Yeah.
use. So
Gotta make it count.
yeah, but they're cool. You should check them out.
Very cool. What's it called again?
Exit the game.
Exit the game. Very cool. Yeah, I've been to several escape rooms and I really enjoy them because I really like puzzles. And uh here in San Francisco, if anyone is interested in a very well done escape room, the I think it's called Games at the Palace of Fine Arts or something like that. It's at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. And I think they have three different scenarios or three different rooms, and I think they're working on a fourth one. And I mean, like production value is through the roof. Like there's trap doors, there's like secret like automated things that happen and whatnot. There's like the lights will flicker and change when you solve a puzzle and stuff. And there's legit like a game master like sitting at a desk watching security footage of you. And so like they'll know like if you're really stumped, you can like press a button and ask them for like a hint or something. But they'll also kind of know if you're about to pull like a lamp off a wall and they're like, please don't touch that, stuff like that. But really, really, really fun. If you're into escape rooms. If you guys want to go and do an escape room, like that's the one to go. It'll kind of ruin most of the other ones, but it's really, really fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
Stonestown has got one by the movie theater. Maybe we'll start with that one and then end up at the other one, just
yeah,
so
yeah,
it doesn't ruin the Stonestown one.
yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe I went to another one that was very good as well. But the Palace of Fine Arts one, the production value is just so fun. It's like it looks so cool, and it's all themed around kind of the Palace of Fine Arts because the Palace of Fine Arts was like put up for the World's Fair or something like that back
Yeah.
in 19 whatever, and like a lot of people like I think Teddy Roosevelt and Harry Houdini were all there, and so a lot of them are themed. There's like a Houdini room, there's a Teddy Roosevelt room, and I think there's a Nikolai Tesla room or something like that. But yeah, very cool. Check it out. My nerdy confession. Um, for a while, I had kind of fallen off of painting minis. I just along with this podcast, just been really busy. So certain things, parts of my life have kind of fallen by the wayside, but I've gotten back into it in a big way. And a friend of mine brought up that he was interested in learning how to play Kill Team, which is a Warhammer 40,000 offshoot. It's like instead of a big army, you have a little squad, a little kill team. And so he's like, I kind of want to, one of my friends is into this, and I kind of want to learn how to play it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm down. So I bought a kill team and built it and painted it. And so here's kind of the little couple of my little guys. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on it. Don't turn it green, you fucking asshole. There he is. So they're almost done. The decals are standing out a little bit because I varnished them. So I need to kind of clean those up. But overall, they're looking pretty good. Here's another one here. And then this guy has like a cool
By the way, put it towards your face. That's how it worked better last time. Cover your
ugh,
face.
cover my face.
Closer. That's how it was
Close.
last time when you were showing me before we started recording.
Yeah. So This guy has like a camo cloak, and you can see it's kind of like turning into the dirt. And it is hard to do this because it's like reverse mirror image. But anyway, yeah, so it's kind of cool. These are some Blood Angel Space Marine Scouts. And I'm excited to learn to play this game. I've played a similar uh, game called Warcry, which is like the fantasy version. Because Warhammer has basically two main games. They have 40,000 and they have Age of Sigmar, which is essentially like a fantasy version of it. Big armies and whatnot. But not everyone wants to spend hundreds of dollars on building an army and weeks and weeks and weeks of paint time and assembly time and all that stuff. But like having a small squad based game is really fun because you can, this is 10 models. It was, $60 I think for the models, and you buy like one book, and that's basically all you need. You don't even really have to buy the book. You can definitely find websites online that have everything for free. But it's a good entry point into like miniature wargaming. And even if you're a new painter or whatever, it's pretty approachable. Like you don't have to, I did some fancy stuff on these ones. But you definitely don't have to do that. You can just kind of put them together, and there's these really easy paints to slap over them, and you only need to do like one coat of those. But it's a good way to learn if you're interested in the miniature gaming world. But yeah, it did feel good to really like dig into a project again. And got kind of the mini painting itch again. So felt good getting back into it for sure. All righty then. Well, that's the end of our nerdy confessions. I think we're gonna well, let's before we take a break, let's do a quick spoiler-free version. Do you think people should see Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, a George Miller joint?
I think people should watch it.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it. I'll
I
leave it at that.
I will say I think it's worth seeing in the theaters. It's a action packed movie for sure. Um, I have certain reservations about it. It's not as good as Fury Road. I'll say that. And I mean, did any of us really expect it to be? You know?
I did.
Well,
No, I mean, I agree, and I'm sure we'll get into it in details. And
yeah,
like, I didn't want to tell you before watching it my opinion because I didn't want it to sway yours, but it was definitely like, oh, it was cool. It wasn't like the
it's
last one.
fine. You know what I mean? Like it's if you have a good sound system at home, wait till it comes out on streaming. If you don't, the theater sound and the sound of the engines of the cars and stuff is worth it to see that cinematic thing. But it's a far cry from Fury Road. And I mean, that's okay because Fury Road like was up for Academy Award. Did it win an Academy Award? It won
It
some
probably did.
Academy
I'm
Award.
sure for like practical effects. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, like that's an amazing almost once in a lifetime movie. It's okay if this one didn't get there. I think it's still entertaining enough to enjoy if you like going to the movies and whatnot. It's, I've seen worse movies even recently. I watched that new Godzilla versus Kong movie, and that was a pile of shit. So, yeah,
It had some charm to it. I'm not saying it was a great movie, but
the
there was.
best part of Kong versus Godzilla, whatever what's it called, the New Kingdom.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. The best part was when King Kong picks up that baby monkey and just
Fuck yeah.
whips him around. I was like, oh my god,
Just use them as a weapon.
yeah,
And granted, I understand that's a baby Kong, but he didn't die.
yeah. Still, yeah, that was so crazy. Don't watch that movie. Watch Furiosa
No,
instead.
definitely watch it
Just
just for that one scene.
YouTube that clip. It happens pretty early in the movie. You could turn it off after that. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick little break for a word from our sponsors. And when we get back, we'll get into full discussion of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right, Christian, let's talk about Furiosa, a Mad Max joint. Um, so this movie, for anyone uninformed, is a prequel to Fury Road, and it follows the character of Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron in
Well,
Fury Road.
yeah, Fury Road, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In this one, for most of the movie, it's played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Also stars a one Chris Hemsworth. And I'll say I think they both did great jobs of playing their characters. Hemsworth especially,
Oh
he
yeah.
like we had never seen him do a character like that. It seemed with him, it seems like most of the time he's playing some version of Thor slash himself, you know. And in this one, he really played a good bad guy. Um,
But was he really that much of a bad guy, man?
yeah,
Just a, just an entrepreneur. He's just trying to make money during the apocalypse.
just making money moves.
That's all he was really doing.
He was trying to fight for his version of democracy almost.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was like,
man.
but I think that's what makes him an interesting character too. So he plays Dementus, this like warlord guy who's in charge of like this biker gang, a very large biker gang, and his whole like he runs into Immortan Joe from Fury Road and a bunch of other characters. There's a lot of returning characters, if not all the actors from Fury Road. Immortan Joe, I forget who played him originally. The guy from Road Warrior,
Yeah.
the first Mad Max movie, who passed away. So he was played by a new guy, and I thought he did a decent job of playing
They
that
did a
character.
great job making him look like a younger version of him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was nice and he was menacing. I really enjoyed him. Um, but yeah, so Dementus, he basically is trying to like carve out his own territory in the wastelands, and he does that primarily by trying to steal other people's territory.
All
And
he
then,
saw was there were people not doing a good job of running their business, and he's like, "Hey, I can do it better."
but he
And
doesn't. He does it way, way worse.
we all come into mistakes, man.
Yeah,
He was just finding his way. That's
yeah.
all he was doing.
Gas Town. He's like, look, I fucked up here. I'll own that.
Yeah.
Let's try again at the Bullet Farm.
We're gonna go to Bullet Farm.
And then throughout all this, we kind of learn the origins of Furiosa, where she came from. She basically comes from like a little swath of land that was somehow protected by the desert wasteland that is Australia. In this future, and she gets like kidnapped basically by some of Dementus's biker guys, and she ends up growing up amongst him and Morton Joe and everyone else kind of thing out in these
All
like
he was trying to do was adopt a girl who had no parents. That's all he was trying to do, man. That was his daughter.
I guess he just it was
And then
very
he made the
much
hard choice of, do I want to keep my daughter or do I want to get this oil refinery? He made a hard choice, man. He had to
those are the
look out for his
choices
original people.
those are the choices that got to be made sometimes. He's got to look out for his constituents.
That's it, man.
um I think, and then basically, there's not much more to the story necessarily. She grows up kind of in hiding amongst the Morton Joes
War boys.
war boys and whatnot. She learns to drive the war rig and eventually gets revenge on Dementus for killing her mother, which like her mother was trying to like save her. And they like basically, string her up and light her on fire and stuff.
The
Um,
crucified her, yeah. And then yeah, lit her on
Yeah,
fire.
exactly. Yeah. If you're being lit on fire, does it really matter that you're also crucified? At that point, we're splitting hairs. Um, So what did you think? Like, what didn't work for you in this movie, Christian?
A lot of the action sequences are really cool. It was nice to see
Yeah, I
like
guess we should
develop.
probably talk about what we did like about it, huh? We should do that first. Start on a
Oh
positive
yeah, I
note.
mean like Chris Helmsworth again was amazing.
Yep.
It was cool how they tried to make him like more average looking instead of like super handsome guy. You know, the big
Yeah,
teeth.
they gave him a big prosthetic nose.
Yeah, and prosthetic nose.
Didn't give him a bunch of shit like they did Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I guess. Um, it was kind of cool to hear him be like super, super Australian. Like
Yeah.
he just hammed it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
his character was funny too. Like he's kind of like a um he it, like he's kind of a bumbling idiot, but he is like won over this huge group of people, and that makes him very powerful. Like he's not a very competent leader as we see throughout the movie. So he's a very interesting bad guy, I think.
yeah. Now the stuff to me, like I don't know if it's premise wise. Like I can't pinpoint a whole lot of the acting. I like if you ask me like what did Anya Taylor Joy do that I didn't like, I couldn't put a finger on it. But I think it's because Charlize Theron was just so believable in the sense that like I am like a badass and I can compete with these fucking crazy men in this world of where men are ruling. I
Yeah,
can totally see she has carved a place for herself.
right.
I just didn't get that with her. And I don't like maybe because she's not a big person. Charlize Theron was like tall and she like beefed up a little bit for the role.
Yeah.
But and then granted, you know, she's grown up, she's a kid, but it was just that transition of like seeing her um get to that. I don't know that part. And again, I couldn't tell you like to point my finger. I don't know if it's Charlize Theron just did such an amazing job that it was hard to follow up. But there was just something lacking there.
And I think that's kind of the risk you run when you do a prequel, right? Especially with a different actress. Because you know, we all have an expectation of who we think Furiosa is. And when you look back at other Mad Max movies, I know not everyone, a lot of people have only seen Fury Road, and that was their first introduction, right? But I've been a fan of Mad Max since I was a little kid. And part of the fun of those movies is you have people like what's the guy, what was the guy in the second one,
Master Blaster?
Master Blaster. Yeah. So you have him. He's got this like metal ski mask on and like bondage underwear, and he's just fucking jacked. And he's got this weird imposing voice. And like we don't know that dude's story, right? We don't know where he came from or when he decided that was his look. You know, we don't know about the young blonde guy that rides on the back of his bike. We assume we know what that's all about. But I think part of like the mystery of it is what makes it entertaining, you know?
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're absolutely right. We didn't know anything about Furiosa in the other movie,
Yeah.
nor did I want to know. Like we just know she's
So when we see Furiosa, right? We in Fury Road, she's introduced, she's the war rig driver. She's got this like weird robot hand, which is kind of cool. We're like, ooh, that's kind of, I wonder how she got that. And it's like you know, and she's this badass, and then you find out she's saving the wives of Immortan Joe, and this was her time to break away from him, and then we find out at the end that she comes from this other tribe of people out you know who are like good people basically in the wastelands, right? And so like that's all the story you really want from a Mad Max character. Even Max himself, like if you watch the first movie, you
yeah,
kind of you
he's
kind of
like
know
a
who he
cop or
is.
something, you
Yeah,
know,
he's
like
like a cop. His family gets killed by Toe Cutter and his gang, and he's out for vengeance. And then, but for the rest of it, like not a lot of that comes up. You know, he's got a troubled past, and he's out on the road as a road warrior, and that's like kind of the beauty of it. Is it's simple, and like the parts of the movie to focus on are like whatever the main conflict is, whether it's oh, he's protecting this group of people who are helpless against Master Blaster. Gotten pulled into Thunderdome and he's got to work his way out of that, or he's pulled into the Citadel there, Morton Joe's Citadel, and he's got to try to escape from being tied up during this huge road chase, and he's this unwilling participant in all these like noble causes, because at the end of the day he's a good dude that wants to stand up for these people who are defenseless, and that's all you need to know about him. I think you know we learned so much about Furiosa in this, and like her motivations and how she became who she was. It like you lose some of the mystique of it. Like
Yeah,
when she loses her arm, it's like, oh, that that seems like it was just an accident. I thought it was going to be something, especially when she tattooed the map
yeah.
to Green World on it. I was like, oh, she's going to like cut off her arm to prevent them from having it or something, right? And it's like, oh no, it's just she puts it out the window and he drives a car into it.
You know, it makes sense what you just said, because like to me, like one of the interesting characters in the new one was the Praetorian. What was it? The first driver of the rig.
Diet
And
Mad Max.
what's up?
Diet Mad Max.
Yeah, yeah.
Mad Max zero calories.
And
Even had the little pauldron thing on his
yeah,
shoulder.
and it's because we don't know a whole lot about him.
Yeah.
It's just like he's driving the rig. He's pretty good at it, and he's just like, you know what?
And he tries to help someone in need who can't
Yeah,
do it themselves.
I'll help you, kid. Like I'll
Yeah.
teach you. I'll show you the game and how it's done, and I'll help you. And maybe you're right. Like we didn't know a whole lot about him, which is what made him interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I
Uh,
think what since you bring that guy up, I think it's strange to me that they basically had him as a Mad Max stand-in, right? Like we don't know much about him. He's pulled into her story essentially, and he's he gives her the shotgun that Mad Max has. He's got the thing. I don't think he had a knee brace, but like he was very much a Mad Max stand-in, and it just seems to me like they. It seemed like George Miller wanted to tell the story of Furiosa coming of age and still have Mad Max in there. And like, this is major spoiler. I guess we should have said spoilers before, but um the we do see actual Mad Max at one point in the movie. We see him up on the overlook with his police interceptor, looking at down at the Citadel, just like the opening of Fury Road. But then we have this character who is so clearly like a similar version. It seems strange to me. It would have been cool if maybe it was, another like strong woman war rig driver who taught her how to kind of like, live amongst this like male dominated world. That would have been
yeah.
kind of interesting or something. But it just like it seemed weird to me that's the character they came up with, and it was like,
Did,
oh, it's
I know you just finished watching the movie, so you probably didn't look anything up. But did you hear anything about Hideo Kojima? So the guy who
uh,
created Metal Gear Solid. Well, he
whatever.
he was saying that like if they were gonna cast a movie, he'd want that actor to be Solid Snake. He was like, if I could see anyone, it would be
Oh, the guy who played uh,
was it
John Praetorian
Praetorian
Jack.
John? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think there was like some talks like, oh, I would do a Mad Max game. I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not want that. I do not
Yeah.
want Kojima to do it at all. First off, because he was talking shit about Americans when that last game that came out that fucking sucked. I don't even remember the name. With Daryl from The Walking Dead.
Oh,
He's like, oh yeah, Americans didn't buy it because they just didn't. They're not sophisticated. First off, fuck you. No, the game just sucked. Sorry, man. Every now and then you're gonna make one that's not gonna be good. Just
yeah.
own it.
They can't
So,
all be Metal Gear Solid.
but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd want him to do it. Like those type of. I don't. I mean, who knows? Like maybe he could do it, but like, I don't know if I'd want to see it that way. I don't even know what studio I'd want to do
Yeah.
it, but yeah. But apparently there's like talks. But apparently him and oh my god, the director of Mad Max, they're being kind of friendly. So who
George
knows?
Miller.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to like just conjure up some like enthusiasm for it if they do it.
Make
But
something happen.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think a big one of the biggest problems for this movie, uh for me, is that the first half of it is so boring. And I mean, the entire movie doesn't have to be an awesome car chase like the Fury Road, but like most of it should be. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot in this movie which is just like, you know, Dementis being weird, and like he's like sitting in his tent, and then they go out driving for some reason, and they come across a guy, and it's just like, and then they talk to that guy, and then they're driving some more, and it's like nothing is really happening. It's just a
Yeah.
lot of like, oh, I'm going to here, then this has to happen, then this has to happen. Oh, we got to introduce this guy, and I'm just like, dude, when is like the movie gonna happen? You know?
Well, but I think like because there were some slow parts in Fury Road, but the slow parts, the cinematography was amazing in it. Like the
Yeah,
colors, a lot of it looked like it was like some like almost like paintings. And like I just remember the one scene in Fury Road where it's just like they're just showing like the scenery, and the guys are there's people walking in like elongated like sticks through the
yeah, yeah,
oil.
yeah. They
You know,
showed
I was
that
like,
at
oh,
the end of this movie.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's such a cool visual,
And
and
again, we don't have to know what those dudes are doing.
yeah.
It's just cool that it's like, ooh, it's a mysterious, weird wasteland thing that they're doing, you know? I think,
Kind of like Dune, the director of Dune. Like there was a lot of slow parts in this last Dune, but it was so visually like
yeah,
cool looking that it's like I don't care that nothing's happening. It's
I
so
just like looking at it.
yeah. I think it was
Since,
missing a little bit of that. Like if
since
there was
we're talking about like the visuals of this movie, I think we should talk about the CG, the use of CG in this movie, or CGI. And the first movie very famously used a lot of practical effects. Now, not everything. You can watch behind the scenes making of videos of it, and there's a lot of CG being used to enhance the scenes and whatnot. But in this one especially, there was way more use of CG, especially with like the vehicles and the people like falling off of the vehicles and stuff. It seemed like there was a lot more CGI and less like actual stunt work. Though I'm sure there was a lot of stunt work as well. Oh, sorry, there's a siren going on outside. But but some of the CG looked real rough. Like the physics of the cars looked bad, and the physics of people like falling off of said cars looked really rough. And that, like, normally I can forgive a lot. You know, I can go back and watch Jurassic Park, or the Lord of the Rings. God damn, someone burning down out there. I can go back and watch those, and there's stuff that like that doesn't stand up to today's standards of CG, but I can still enjoy it because it's part of the scenery. It's not the focal point. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But this one, it's like some of the stuff that like you're focusing on when like a guy gets shot off of the top of the war rig, and he hits, you see him from a wide shot hit the ground, and he just like thuds there, and there's no like momentum to it or anything like that. Kind of takes you out of it. um how did you think this movie like compared looks wise?
I mean, yeah, the practical effects on the other one were amazing, and yeah, I mean, I already said the like the color schemes and the cinematography on Fury Road was so amazing. But also, I made the mistake of watching it. I don't know what type of theater you would call it, but it's the Stonestown Theater where so you have like the regular screen, then they have the two sides that come
Oh, yeah,
out.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I forget what they call it. They call that like a 4DX
yeah,
or
I think it was
something.
like 4DX, and so I forgot what you remember how we used to watch TVs on like tubes for all you
Yeah,
young bucks who didn't have grew up with always fucking widescreen, but before kiddos,
four
there
by
used
three.
yeah,
There's like the black bars.
And
Squares.
that was exactly what it was. So I was kind of missing some of the side stuff, but so that was so I don't know if that kind of affected it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely didn't look as good, and I don't think there was as much pre-production in it, and there couldn't be because I know he was working on Fury Road for like years, right, to get that made. But and I think, I think the same is true of like the Lord of the Rings versus the Hobbit movies, right? The reason why the Lord of the Rings is an all-time classic where people still go back and watch it and love it and are super fans of it, but the Hobbit movies don't have the same following and same passion from the audience around them, is because there wasn't as much pre-production in them. Like, Peter Jackson was famously like thrown into that to take over for Guillermo del Toro, who had dropped out because like of studio interference and stuff. So it's like, I think, a big part of this is like there wasn't as much care and thought put into like the pre-production of it, and I think that kind of shows in some of the effects and stuff. Um, but well, what else about the movie would kind of let you down?
I mean, I feel like we covered it. I mean, I also don't want to shit on it completely, you know, because it's definitely good. I mean, by comparison of what we're getting today, but since we're comparing it to Fury Road, like it's like, yeah, I mean, Fury Road was better, but
Yeah,
I also don't want to make it seem like that's a piece of shit film. Don't watch it. Like, no, it's good. It's just by
it's
comparison, you know.
yeah. I think that's a maybe a big part of it. Like in the world of action movies in general, it's fine. It's not something that I would, write home about or anything, or it's not something that I like. I'm not eager to like wait for it to come out on Blu-ray so I can watch it again, kind of thing. I'm not going to go see it a second time, but it's fine. Like I feel
I
like
definitely want another Mad Max movie, but I think it should just focus on new characters. Just
yeah,
another. I mean, there's so much that can happen in that world. Just Morton Joe was never in the other movies. At least the actor was, but not those
right, not the
characters.
character.
Yeah,
And
and I'm sure there's other good people. I mean, there's probably not a lot, but um,
yeah,
I
I
think just
think
starting with a whole nother story.
I think Mad Max for me should be treated kind of like a James Bond, where all the James Bond movies, for the most part, can be watched in any order you want. Aside from Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, which were direct sequels. Um, but I think like you can, if Tom Hardy doesn't want to do it, then recast him as someone else. Use that guy from this movie. He looks like Mad Max enough. Um, and like tell just a different story, and kind of like it's kind of like a Western movie, like The Man with No Name kind of thing, where he can wander into any old town and there's some sort of conflict and he gets dragged into it kind of unwillingly. And I think that's perfectly fine. And you can do that with the Furiosa too, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, like find out what happens afterwards. After Mad Max helps rescue her and stuff. That's fine too. I just think that I don't think any of us really needed this prequel. I think is the
No.
the real the real crux of it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Fury Road. Like it was. I mean, the Mad Max was in it, but the real star was Furiosa. You know, like she had the most screen time and she was doing the most stuff, and it's like just
Yeah,
continue doing that. Like even if it's just showing Furiosa in the future, but like introduce a new character and just focus on that new character. You know, like I don't think it has to be always the same.
yeah,
I think it's not. I mean, as cool as Mad Max is, the driving point and what is the world of
yeah,
Mad Max is the
sure,
most interesting part. So
yeah. And I mean, like, aside from the first movie, he's always kind of like almost a side character, In the in Mad Max, the second movie, though there's like a weird naming convention depending on if you watch the Australian version or the Americanized version. But the second movie, he's pulled into this town that is trying to defend themselves from Master Blaster. Is it Master Blaster now? I'm trying to think.
No, Master Blaster was the guy. I thought you were talking about the guy with the little backpack with the dude.
Oh, okay. No, no, no. Uh it's uh it's the guy with the hockey mask. Um I can't think of his name. He had a
Master Blaster was the gladiator guy that he was fighting in like
oh, you right, 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 right. No, maybe it's Humongous. Maybe that was his name. He was the guy with the fucking um yeah, it's Humongous. That's what his name was. He's yeah, I was just looking at a picture of it. It's so great. Yeah, he's wearing like a hockey mask with like a leather collar on it and like black leather straps on it, and then like a loincloth with metal studs on it.
you need breathable things when you're out in the desert, Cody.
Incredible. Yeah, you gotta lather up in some sunscreen though, man. You're gonna prematurely age, you know? But yeah, so like I he's just protecting this town from Humongous and his gang. And in Thunderdome, he's pulled into Thunderdome and he has to kind of deal with Tina Turner's her town, and he wants to bring them down a peg and help the people of that town gain their freedom from her rule kind of thing. And then he runs into that plane full of young kids who
But they don't need another hero, Cody.
yeah, that's true. So good. But anyway, I think it's okay to have him as the side character and introduce another cool character that he gets put along with. I think that's what's so cool about those movies is he doesn't have to be the focal point. It's the world, and he's just kind of a stand-in for someone like that we kind of know. You know what I mean? So you can always bank on him doing something cool. If you don't know these new characters yet. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine movie. It's just not what I was looking for. Especially in a year that Dune 2 came out, you know what I mean? So that it's kind of rough. But like we're in kind of a drought of big blockbuster movies. And so maybe that's kind of what made it kind of sting a little bit more is like, oh, this is supposed to hold us over until Deadpool comes out. And I was just like, oh, it was fine, but I still think it's worth watching, especially if you like the Mad Max world. There is some really cool parts in it. I think the building of the war rig was really cool, and like kind of seeing a little bit more about like all the little weapons and little gadgets and stuff they had built into it. I think that was fun. And then again, Chris Hemsworth does a great job of playing this weird, cool warlord guy. And I did like his final like showdown with Furiosa, where he talks, like he was just a guy who had everything taken from him when the world fell to shit kind of thing, and the the end of the world kind of turned him into Dementus, and it turned Furiosa into her. And so like even if she kills him, she's not going to gain back what she had lost. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of a cool scene there at the end. Um, and then like I guess she grew a peach or nectarine tree out of him. That was weird.
Yeah, but that's if it's true, right? We don't know. She could have just said that, but
Maybe. And then at the end they just show clips of Fury Road, just kind of highlighted. I'm like, I wish I was watching that. But I think we're checking out. Um, Let us know down in the comments if you guys saw Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, what you thought of it. Are we being a little too critical because we wanted so much more? Was it genuinely a good movie? I agree with you. I think I do want to see more Mad Max movies, or at least more in the Mad Max universe. Um, I just I hope this movie does well enough where it warrants that. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it all kind of comes down to money, right? How
yeah, I
well.
think opening weekend they were expecting 140 million and it did like 115, so it's like underperforming by their standards, something like that.
Interesting. Well, those are some crazy standards to have,
Yeah.
especially when I think less and less people are going out to the movies than they've ever done before. But I don't know. I will say there was a fun little Deadpool Wolverine thing at the beginning of the movie that
Yeah.
I enjoyed. So I'm very excited to see that movie and kind of see where blockbusters bounce back to. You know what I mean? But yeah, let us know down in the comments what you think, and leave us a like and a subscribe if you feel like it. We appreciate that. And we will attempt to do these on a more regular basis. I think if we just stick to like Monday night recordings and then
Yeah.
I'll post them up by Tuesday or Wednesday. I think if we get in a rhythm, we'll be back in business. So sorry for the long absence, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our little review of Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Christian, thanks for being the Diet Mad Max to my Furiosa.
As
To
long as
all,
I'm not the little dude in the backpack from Master Blaster, it's all good.
yeah, the little dude in the back of the truck in this one.
Yeah.
Funny story about that kid. That kid was like famously bullied for being, he had some sort of dwarfism or something.
Yeah, I saw that. It was I remember seeing the video of him.
He was all sad.
Yeah.
It was nice that he got to be a war boy. That's cool. And then the first war boy in the beginning is that guy who looks kind of like Jesse Plemons, if you know who that is, or kind of like Matt Damon, but with a slightly larger head. He
Oh,
was a very good singer. He
he's
was
a very
also,
good singer.
yeah, he's a really good singer. That
Okay.
everything I've seen him in is him singing on like Instagram. But it's cool that those guys got to be in a Mad Max movie. I'm all for that. Finding new talent. To all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.